Hey guys, Leslie here, welcome back to another YouTube video. Today I'm going to be talking about Rock Lee from Naruto versus Izuku Midoriya from My Hero Academia. If you're going to enjoy this video, then make sure to like and subscribe. There are a few things I need to go over first. Firstly, I will not be covering Boruto era Lee because, well, it'd be a complete stomp, and also that would require me actually watching the anime instead of just reading the manga. But if you do want to use Boruto or Lee, then Lee would stomp easily. Basically, just because he scales higher than Might Guy, who's able to dangerously harm Madara. And I don't think I need to tell you that Madara would solo My Hero Academia, much less Deku alone. So yeah, Shippuden Lee is going to be used just to make it more interesting. Also, much like with every other video I do, there's varying different levels of high-end and low-end calcs you can give to these two, so I'll be as open as possible, let you come to the conclusion as to what you think is the most viable. And if you want a more in-depth video on Deku, I've got one on my channel in the iCard in the description. Also, I am sick while recording this. When this video goes up, I'll probably be fine, but it's just why I'm probably going to sound a bit different when I record this, and let's just get on with it. For strength attack potency in base, Rock Lee was capable of kicking a 30% Kisame clone, who should at least scale above base guy, meaning the Rock Lee should be comparable to base guy, if not slightly below him. Base guy scales to Kakashi in part 1, who could create a large storm via a jutsu, requiring power equal to 6.087 teratons of TNT, or enough to destroy a small country. The first gate is implied to be able to multiply the power by 5, so him opening the first gate would take that value up to 30.435 teratons of TNT, or country level. However, the other gates seem to be a bit more unquantifiably stronger. You could keep on adding a 5th gate of power each time onto it, which would eventually reach a 6th gate power equal to 182.61 teratons of TNT, or large country level, or you can multiply it by 5 each time, which is a bit more insane because it takes up Lee up to the 6th gate with 95.1 petatons of TNT, or multi-continental levels of power. So yeah, there's a bit of a range there in terms of power, although there is not like an official statement on the multipliers of the ones beyond the first gate to my knowledge. So, you know, this is pretty much just speculation, and you could just throw this out as being just, you know, headcanon if you want to. As for Deku, meanwhile, he's able to fight Shigaraki, who is stated as durable as All Might. All Might, who was capable of creating a punch, which could create a large storm, with enough power to equal 735 gigatons of TNT, or large island level. He's also implied to be as durable as Prime All Might. All Might is implied to be 60 times stronger than his previous self, due to needing 60 times the punches to defeat someone he would have had to in his prime, taking the value up to 43.5 teratons of TNT, or country level. There's also the feat of Bakugo and Deku splitting a large amount of clouds which eclipse the entire island, which can scale anywhere between 131 teratons of TNT, being a large country level, to up to multi-continental as well, meaning that you can realistically scale either above each other. I think if you use the most safe, like, baselines for both, Deku would be stronger. But if you want to use more speculative, like, ideas of what you think Rock Lee's gates could be capable of, and you could very well argue that Rock Lee could edge out Deku in terms of power. As for speed, and we already brought up the fact that Rock Lee could keep up with a clone of Kisame, who should scale much higher than Haku, who is stated capable of moving at light speed, and the gates would make him even faster. As for Deku, he scales way higher than Hajikure, who can react to Oyama's beam of light, which is stated to be a light beam. So again, if you want to be like super objective, they're both tied for speed, since they both massively upscale from light speed. If you ask me personally, I personally believe that Rock Lee scales higher above Haku, especially the 6th gate, compared to Deku to Hajikure, but there's no way of objectively proving that, so realistically they would be tied in terms of speed. As for durability, it should relatively scale to his attack potency for Rock Lee, because he's able to take on people and take hits from people who are comparable to him in terms of power. As for Deku, it's much the same story, being able to take attacks from all for one possessed Shigaraki, who should scale to his attack potency, meaning that it's the exact same story with the attack potency section of this video. With the abilities, weaponry, techniques, Rock Lee is a taijutsu expert. He's got weapons mastery and statistics amplification via the use of chakra, which can also allow him to scale surfaces, walk on water, and increase his own speed. He has a statistics amplification, body control, and acrobatics with the 8 gates. You could argue he has some access to like extremely basic techniques, because, well, he doesn't use jutsu. Again, these are kind of basic, so I figured that even if you don't buy the fact that you can maybe use these techniques, you could basically just ignore them if you don't think they can be applied to them. But if you do think they can be applied to them, I figured it'd be good to just bring it up. For example, there's the substitution jutsu, which can instantly replace the user with something like a nearby object. Also, would give them access to minor illusion creation, duplication with a clone technique, shape-shifting with a transformation technique, paralysis induced with the paralysis technique, and also should have fire manipulation with the Morning Peacock. As for Deku, he is an expert in hand-to-hand combat. He has statistics amplification with One for All, acrobatics as air manipulation, being able to generate air pressure strikes and tornadoes, non-physical interaction, being comparable to All Might, who can physically interact with beings made out of pure energy, power bestowal, supernatural willpower, also has an insane pain intolerance, has awakened power, analytical prediction, pseudo-flight and flight and levitation, energy manipulation, multiple selves, virtual cognition, after image creation, levitation as already said, rage power, precognition, extrasensory perception with danger sense, being able to sense and perceive hostility, smoke manipulation, enhanced senses, there's also kinetic energy manipulation, physics manipulation as well, along with resistances to fate, mind manipulation, power and absorption, heat, cold, electricity, and also limited resistance to poison, with his mouth guard being able to protect himself from inhaling toxic gases. So I think it's quite clear that Deku is more versatile and has better abilities than Rock Lee. Because he, just by simply having way more abilities and having things like physics manipulation. For weaknesses for Rock Lee, he is only really limited to taijutsu, and opening too many gates can wear out his body. He also has an extremely low tolerance to alcohol as well. As for Deku, using 100% of All For One's power will break the bones of the limb used in his body. However, it doesn't really seem to hinder his movements, as he does have a massive pain tolerance. While the damage is inflicted to his body has decreased due to his constant training, he still cannot fully fight at 100%. And Danger Sense will not trigger if the opponent has no true malice or intent to hurt Deku, which can catch him off guard. Considerably strong negative emotions can cause Danger Sense to be overstimulated. Black Whip can get out of control if the user does not keep their emotions in check, and One For All is susceptible to being taken if the thief's will is stronger than the user. So I would probably say that Deku has more, more weaknesses, so you could argue he's more vulnerable, but probably argue that Rock Lee, his opening the gates, at least opening up to the 6th gate, makes him much more vulnerable than Deku activating 100%, but I guess it kind of comes down to what you think makes someone more vulnerable. So overall, who wins the fight? You could argue that either or is more powerful, more durable than the other. You could argue that they're both tied for speed as well. Deku would have better abilities, is more versatile, and you could also argue who is more vulnerable depending on what you buy. So yeah, this fight is incredibly close. If you argue that Rock Lee is multi-continental and Deku is only country level, then I'm pretty sure Rock Lee would just win, because he would just one-shot speed blitz him very easily. But besides that, it's pretty close. Even if you have Rock Lee at large country level and Deku at large country level, with Rock Lee being marginally stronger, Deku can get stronger during fighting via rage and also just by adapting to his opponents. Even if Rock Lee is faster, it would be by an insane amount, with Deku's ability to predict people who are faster than him and his danger sense being able to deal with that. So overall, I would say that Deku is more likely to win if you give them both the same level of scaling, but if you give a high end to Rock Lee and a low end to Deku, you could also argue Rock Lee wins as well. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to like, subscribe. My throat is killing me, and I'll see you next time.
You've never seen nothing like me. I'm gonna stay.